Trienne here. Welcome back to the Be That Create That Social channel. Whether you are on our podcast, YouTube, or in our Female Leader Headquarters group, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to bring you another one of the interviews of some of these wonderful women that I am meeting through socials that are making an impact every day. We talk to coaches, we've talked to video content creators, we have talked to stay-at-home moms that have Etsy shops. We cover it all. There is a way to make a difference and make an impact in every moment of our day while we're creating that leadership lifestyle. And today is no different. I'm bringing Heather Stewart on with us today. And I'm going to bring her on so that she can introduce herself. Hello again.
Hello, how are you?
Very good. I love that you call yourself a real life coach.
Right? It's so interesting, the land of coaching, when you enter it and you think, what do I do and how do I do it? And I started calling myself a real life coach because I was coaching these clients who some of them said to me, well, I had this coach before, but it was too overwhelming. There were too many things to do. So I said, well, it has to fit into your real life. And that's when I came up with the real life. More life, less to-dos. That's what I tell people.
Yes.
Right.
So when you think about your journey to become an entrepreneur, become a coach, tell us a little bit about your background, Heather, and how you got to this passion point that you're at now.
Oh my goodness. It's been an interesting ride. I'll give you the short version. So I spent my first career, I spent 15 years as a CPA. I was a corporate finance executive, and I was good at it. Obviously, I kept getting promoted, but I would figure stuff out and then I would get bored, and I just didn't really love what I did. And then to shorten the story, I started teaching yoga after work as stress relief. I had originally started taking it, and then I started teaching it. And one day I just said, I need a change. So I actually quit my job. And at the same time, I sold my house. I did all these crazy things. And people thought I was mad. I actually had a friend who took me out for lunch because they were prepared to take me to the mental health facility because they thought I'd lost my mind because I quit my job. And I thought, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with that. So they obviously didn't have me committed. So I went traveling in India. I came back. I continued teaching yoga. I opened my own yoga studio. I became a registered massage therapist. I'm up in Toronto in Canada. That takes 2 years of education to become a massage therapist here. And I was loving it because I was helping people. I knew that I wanted to help people, and being in a big people need corporate executives, people need corporate finance, but I needed to help people in a different way. So that's what led me into that kind of health and wellness space. And then 5 or 6 years ago, one of the therapists who was renting a space from me, I was helping her out. I'm like, do this, telling her all these things she could do because I still had that business mind. She said, Heather, you need to teach this. And this light bulb went on. I went, oh my gosh, I can help people in another way. So I went and started coaching. And initially I was just business coaching. My idea was that I was going to business coach health and wellness people on how to run their business because they're super good at what they do, right? But they struggle. They struggle with understanding how to run the business, how to be successful financially. So I was helping them. And as I was doing it, I realized that business is part of it, but it's also just their life. You can't pull just your business to the side and not have the rest of your life influence it.
Yes.
Right. So a year and a half-ish ago, a little over a year and a half ago, I had a stroke. And I was lying in the hospital and I was thinking about this because I couldn't have visitors at the time because of COVID. And so I was alone and I couldn't really escape where I was. So I just kind of sat there quietly. And it came to me that what I needed to do was expand it. So yes, you need your financial wellness to be in place, and you need some kind of purpose, some kind of occupation. I have a client who's retired. She calls it her beloved vocation, something that lights you up. Like you said, what's your passion point? But there's all the other pieces around it that are going to influence it. So sometimes I'm coaching people on their business, and sometimes I'm coaching them on relationships or health or anything that falls in there. I actually have 6 categories that you can't pull yourself apart into pieces, but I break it into 6 just for people's mental clarity, so they're not overwhelmed.
I do something similar to that. And because like you said, for me, it's the ripple effect.
Right.
If I am business coaching somebody and we're having a hard time with time management, it's also a relationship issue. And it's also a self-care issue. And it's also so we do something similar where we rate ourselves on a 1 to a 10 in a few different categories. And then we talk about what's in the gap. And then how can we move just that little bit? And yes, it's important to niche down and become an expert, but I think it is all connected. And I think we can't avoid the fact that it's all connected, and it's important to pay attention to that.
It is important. And and sometimes I think people discount how important it is because, I mean, I have my podcast is called Back to Me, and it was about you recognizing that I started it right after my stroke. It was recognizing that if you are empty and you are stressed out, I call them overwhelmed overachievers. If you're this person who just can't take another piece of anything and it's going to make you lose it, then you can't do all the other things that you want to do. So sometimes it's just that self-care piece where you give yourself that permission to do something for you, take a downtime, take a quiet time, do whatever you need. It doesn't have to be a spa day. That's not everybody's jam, right? It's like take that time and be whole and full in yourself. And that gives you that ripple effect that you talked about into all the other areas of your life, right? So it's often that's where we start. It's because I specifically coach mainly women. You say it's hard to niche, but it's not hard to niche, right? Women overwhelmed. Let's make sure that you feel okay and not guilty taking care of yourself, because that's going to help you do everything else that you want to do.
Yes, so important. There was an analogy, metaphor, I'm not sure which one I want to call it, that somebody was like, if I have this full pitcher of water and I start to dump it into everybody else's cup, what am I left with? I'm left with an empty pitcher. But if I leave the pitcher standing and I have the cups all around and I pour into this full pitcher and it runs over and fills everyone else's cup at the same time that mine is being filled.
Right.
We so often forget to fill our own.
That's a good analogy. Right. And I know some people often use the airplane analogy with the mask, put your mask on first. Yeah. And I talked to a male coach that I know, and he said, it doesn't make any sense. I said, of course it makes sense. If you pass out, who are you going to help?
That's one of those moments where we're just like, male, female, brains are different. That's what happens. Move on.
Yeah, exactly. He's very lovely, but he explained to me how male and female brains were different.
Absolutely. In that 1 second. Yes. So where do you feel like, you've had a couple of these career pivots, adjustments, whatever. I'm not even going to say change, because I feel like we take what we learn from each one of those positions and we just kind of add it on to what we're doing. A progression. Absolutely. So when you think about your vision, where do you feel like your vision is taking you in your service to your clients?
My vision has been getting so sometimes it's so expansive. I like, hold on, we're back here, because I've created this thing that I called the Thriving Life Method, where all of these pieces, it's almost like a choose your own adventure. So you come into that program and we do that like, what do you need right now?
Yes.
In this time right now, what do you need? We can talk about where you want to go, like 100 miles down the road, but where are we right now? I had that analogy of, I'm in Toronto and I want to go down to LA. Yes, I want to go to LA, but first I have to drive over to that bridge to get across the border. And, you have to plot out. I don't know if you're old enough to remember those CAA. CAA would give you the maps with the highlighter on it. I love those.
Yes.
So one piece at a time.
When the girls and I, in December of 2020, we traveled to go see my dad in San Antonio, Texas. And I highlighted an atlas and I did Post-it notes on the different states and things like that. So that my daughter at the time, I think she was 9. And I was like, no, this is how we're getting there. If our GPS doesn't work at some point on the phone, we read this map. And it was enlightening for me to be able to teach her, okay, what's the next road we're looking for? What exit are we at? Because it's an untaught skill.
It is. And a total unrelated, I once got sent on a detour because there was an accident on the highway. I was the only one who had a map in my car. So I had pulled over to look at the map and all these cars started stopping and asking me where to go. So I said, everybody follow me.
Everybody follow me. True leadership right there. Yes.
Right? But yeah, so it's like a choose your own adventure. We decide where you got to start and we start with that and you start making that progress. And then as we weave our way to your goal and everybody's going to be different because everybody comes similarities, but you're all in a different space. And I want everyone to get, I call it your thriving life. Like you want to get to your thriving life where you're not drained, you're not stressed, you're not wondering. I had a client say, is this all there is? I said, no, this isn't all there is. Because she had ticked the boxes. I have my house, I have my car, I have my kid, I have my husband, I have my dog. I said, well, but what makes you happy? And some people can't answer that.
Yes. What do you do after you tick the boxes? That's for sure. Well, speaking of tipping the boxes a little bit, ticking the boxes. So I do something called the 21-day morning rush challenge, where in our community, we talk a lot about morning routines and why they're important and how they help us be successful. And I would love for you to share, maybe you're not a morning person, but what is something that is a non-negotiable throughout your day that you feel like adds to your success?
So I'm not a morning person, but morning is relative. Morning is when you get up, right? And I have a morning routine that has been getting longer, but it's non-negotiable. And it's probably in about 90 minutes now. And I know for moms, they would go, what? Even when I was a corporate executive, there was no way that I could have done that. But it has evolved. So you don't have to start at 90 minutes.
Yes.
But I've been a meditator for probably 20 odd years, maybe over 20 years. So I always, that's my first thing I do before I get a cup of tea first. I have to have a cup of tea in the morning. And then I go to my cushion and I meditate. I used to meditate for 10 minutes when I first started. Now I'm up to 45, but that's not better or worse. That's just where I felt organically when I wanted it to be longer. If I am rushed, sometimes I will only do 10 or 15 minutes because, I have an obligation earlier than normal. But non-negotiable is my meditation on my mat and quiet time. Like I don't turn on phones, computers, nothing gets turned on because it's a distraction. If you turn on your phone, and I've seen my husband do it, he'll come out, he'll turn on his phone, and he has a morning routine. But if he turns on his phone first, he doesn't do it on a timely basis. He will do it, but then I'll be tapping my watch, going, "We're late, honey."
Isn't that interesting that I talk to my kids about this too, because I'll say, something you have to think about is when you're watching the phone, you're in reaction mode. You're cutting all your creativity, all your imagination, all your ability to think for yourself. It's constantly telling you what to do.
Yeah.
So I don't let them do screens or television until they're ready for the day. And I do the same thing for myself. It's like, no, you don't need to be involved with consuming information until you've taken some time to create for yourself, so that you're still expanding that imagination.
How old are your kids?
11 and 8.
Have you read the book 24/6 yet?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh, you must check out that book.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. It's super interesting. She has a lot of really good information there. It's about digital detox a little bit. And
Mhm.
she takes one day a week where the whole family goes screen free. And she talks about the impact on kids, which because she's got kids as well. So
Absolutely.
I highly recommend it. And I can't remember her name. Yeah.
That's okay. I will definitely look it up and I'll put it in the show notes for us as
Yeah,
well.
for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So, lastly, I've had you on hot seat now for, 15 minutes. So I will ask you to, I know, I'm sweating because Michigan is like a sauna right now.
So is Toronto.
But I would ask you, if you had any questions for me, so I'll let you think about that for a second. If you had one question that you'd like to ask me, but while you're thinking of that, where is it that you would want people to engage with your content, follow you, get to know you a little bit better now that you've been part of our party here?
Right. So you can find everything you need to find me on my website, heatherstewart.coach. And it's a brand new website. You're welcome to try and break it. And if you do, please let me know.
Please break it. Please crash it.
But you can find my Facebook links there, my Instagram, my podcast. There's a quiz there people can take. I do a quiz so people can say, I don't know where to start. If you just take that quiz, it'll tell you where to start with your wellness, and it'll give you some ideas to start with. And yeah, so it's like self-contained magic there. Back to me.
I love
Back
that.
to me. Yeah.
Good. Podcasts changed my life. The first one I ever listened to was Lori Harder's Earn Your Happy.
Oh.
And I was addicted from then on. It's like automobile university for me. I listen to podcasts or audiobooks, I feel like, every moment that I can.
I started with Amy Porterfield and Maria Forleo.
Mm-hmm.
And life has never been the same.
So, one of the things I think about it when I'm putting content out there for this reason is you just never know. Lori Harder doesn't know who I am, but she changed my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
What have you ever had a listener come back to you with something that has changed their life for them? Have you ever had that come from your podcast?
I don't ask very often for testimonials and things and reviews and things like that. However, I think that when I do get the messages that are like, this is exactly what I needed to hear today, I think that's why they mean the most to me.
Yeah.
Because even, we did 21-day morning rush, maybe a year and a half. Know that ripple effect then is not only changing their life, but it's changing the lives of the people around them. So yeah, I would say, man, it makes what you do feel even better.
Yeah, I don't read reviews, but I love the private notes that come from people.
Yes.
The funniest ones are when people said, I loved when you said this. And I think, I don't think I said that.
Hey, but that's what they heard.
That's what they heard, and it was perfect.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, Heather, thank you so much for joining and sharing yourself with the community today and on our channels. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Very grateful for that.
Thank you.
If you guys are going to get a hold of Heather, make sure that we go to heatherstewart.coach, or we can also make sure that we check out her podcast, Back to Me, which such an interesting story of how that started. So thank you for sharing that.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's
all right,
all the places.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, we will see you on the next episode with the Be That Create That channel, whether you're following us through podcast, YouTube, or in the Female Leader Headquarters. Just remember that we are creating this life by design. So create that leadership lifestyle, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.